I was born, my mother was 19, and my grandmother was 38. So a grandmother of 38. Unfortunately for her, she lost a daughter of 12, 15 days before I was born. The name of the girl was Lucia, and this is the reason why my name is Luciano.
The day we did that interview with Pavarotti wasn't a great day for Pavarotti, and it wasn't a great day for us, not really. First of all, it was as hot as it possibly could be. We talked to him in his beach house on the east side of the Italian peninsula. There was the house, then the trees, a wall, a road, and then the beach. And everybody knew that Pavarotti was in his house, partly because he was who he was, a god in Italy, and partly because he was with his mistress for the first time in public. The paparazzi were everywhere. They were hanging in the trees. It was as if the trees were full of chimpanzees. He'd left his wife of many, many years and his family and so on, great scandal in Italy, and taken up with this young lady. We went through the gates and there they were. He was in a hammock in the shade, it's late morning, and she was lying on top of him, very properly, just both of them, fast asleep. So that was a start. He woke up and came across, but before we could meet him, he was cut off by 4 Arabian gentlemen who had come to sell him stallions. He loved stallions and he was going to get a bargain from these men, or so he told us later, so he parleyed a little with them, then parked them in another part of the garden, came back and was ready to go. The director sat him directly under a broiling noonday sun. But, having talked about football first of all, and the player Bergkamp, who had just transferred to Arsenal, which he knew I supported, he told me how bad Bergkamp was as a player. He was completely wrong about that. He was mad on football, Pavarotti, perhaps as mad on football as he was on opera. And he'd been a fine local footballer in his time. All sorts of photographs in his house of him in winning teams for Modena. Anyway, he sat down and he started to talk.
My father, it was a tenor, and he's still a tenor. He's 83, very lucky, almost in November, and he has an incredible voice, but really in great shape.
Did he sing in the house or did he just sing in the church?
He sings in the church, but he sings in the church, he sings solo. If you sing in the house, you sing with the other of the family, with the coro. This is solo. He doesn't mix himself with somebody else. He's the diva of the family.
Che bella voce il nostro Gran Luciano, ce l'ascoltiamo, il cuore tocca festa, e dono uno, ognuno si desta. Che bella voce il nostro Gran Luciano.
He is a very, very charming guy. He's all very happy, he likes to play like, in fact, I always say that he's my son, he's not my father.
È nato Luciano, più bel non v'è, qual di ottobre che scopri te. O sole mio, sta in fronte a te, sta in fronte a te.
You always say, if you have my voice, you will have done something super special. Say, well, thank you very much.
Many dramatic things have happened to you, but when you were 12, you almost died from a mystery illness.
This was a kind of tetanus. I am playing football and I am hicking a bone, deteriorated bone, under the feet. And that after a week. I am at the table with my father and my mother. I say, I don't feel the leg. My father says, come on, stop to play, dumb, or to joke. I say, no, I'm not joking. It's really like that. In fact, it was this kind of sickness, and I was in coma for probably 2 weeks. So when you come out from something like that, you are definitely a survivor.
Yeah.
So I grow like that, and you see me very optimistic all the time. My mother says that I can sing. Who are these people? Tell them to close the car. Who are they?
Your house is an open court, Luciano. It swirls around with record companies and television crews.
Today is the day, because I forget 2-3 appointments, you know, I forget to write them.
Now, the interesting thing in this is that for all this surround, buzz, noise, distraction, dilemma, and distress, really, he went straight to the point. I wanted to talk about how he looked after his voice. That was the inside story of what we were trying to get. The parts he played, how he'd become an opera singer, and all the rest of it. That was important. But I wanted him to talk about his voice. It's an intimate thing for him. It was very strange. It was as if he was talking about a relative whom he preferred to keep in the attic. When I'd been to see him before on another occasion, we'd set up from his house, and it was again a very warm day. He'd wound a silk scarf round and round his neck, and I looked because it was so hot, and he says, the voice, the voice. He spoke about it as if it was a thing, a being in itself. But he did attend to it and talked about the voice, and talked very generously, and talked in an honest way that you very rarely get from great performers. Unpretentious, honest, and of course, he had something to talk about, the voice.
The technique of a tenor is that at a certain point in the voice you have to pass or cover the voice. It means that you cannot open like, you have to do, and that thing must become normal, natural. Never sing like that. You have to breathe, and in this position, which is more or less the position when you go to the bathroom, there is no other way to explain, it's very seriously. This position, you go and you sing. You sing until this part, little by little, is going to be very relaxed. Immediately it's and then more relaxed and more relaxed until you are able to sing the entire opera without any effort. Italian language has the E, O, depend where the music is written. You have to know that and put the voice with the right thing. So you say fanciulla, aua, and the A is fanciulla. So the important thing is to do au, u, have the courage to do u. Most of the time the throat choke when you sing with ooh, where you go. But if you learn little by little and you force yourself, and the voice is a tube like that, that it should be not open, but keep close, and in the meantime, little by little, in the way that the voice is keep there. It's not expanded like a crazy horse. In fact, the voice is an horse. The voice is then a very elegant, wild, controlled animal. Because the voice of a tenor is a wild animal. It's not the voice of the person who is singing in the shower. It's made completely different. Controlled.
So he
when it's controlled, it's very exciting. It's very exciting because it's very dangerous, and you feel it. When a tenor is singing, you feel that it's more dangerous than a baritone.
He was such a big personality. He was an island on his own. You couldn't touch him. You know, it was superb. I mean, when you're standing next to him and that sound was buzzing through your head, and you just saw it going pow, 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 you sort of melted with just the sound of this glorious voice, which was tremendous. You know, you couldn't touch him. And as to sort of getting anywhere near him, he would talk to you and stuff, but you were sort of so overwhelmed by this glorious sound and what he did. I saw him and Joan Sutherland in The Daughter of the Regiment, 1967-68, here in the Royal Opera House, and that was amazing to have actually heard them. And I thought, gosh, there's a lot of top notes. I never knew the opera, didn't know anything about it. I'm only very young, I'm about 22, 23. I'm thinking, God, that's a really nice voice, and all that, dum, da, 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 da. And again, 8 times. I thought, wow, that's a lot of top notes. He's good.
You must be a delinquent to do that with a full voice, because it was made for people that they sing in falsetto. So if you do that with the full voice, I think you are crazy, completely crazy, but even exciting. This is really the exciting risk. You feel it.
When did you decide to take the risk? To do all of them?
I decided to take the risk during the rehearsal at Covent Garden with Richard Bonning. It was a bet, in fact.
A bet?
A bet. And he says, I am sure you do it, but don't do before the dress general. I say, I'm unable. Don't you feel it in the room? I say, don't you feel it? I'm unable to reach this. You will do when you are there, but please don't do before. So,
before the dress rehearsal? The
dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
So we arrived there. At Covent Garden, you have the human habit to sing at 10:30 in the morning. Inhuman is not human. Inhuman habit.
The rehearsal at 10:30?
10:30 in the morning for an Italian is impossible. So we go there, at 8:30 I begin to vocalize and so on. So we go on the stage. Finally, I'm reaching that point in which acting is stopping, believe me. Absolutely. Every muscle is concentrated on that area. It was difficult before, not in the 9C. Before it's very difficult. If it's difficult before, you don't arrive there fresh, you don't make it. If it's difficult, and it is difficult, but you are able to deal with a certain kind of ease and relaxation, then when you are there, it's still difficult, but you made it. So I made it. I made it, and the orchestra was standing ovation from the orchestra.
You speak in your interviews about the voice darkening as it gets a little older.
Yes,
Will you still be able to hit these 9?
Good tormentous question. I will tell you, Auntie, you will tell me. Because either you read on the paper, then I cancel, or then I make a massacre, or then luckily I did well.
Did he look after his voice as well as you would like?
Yes, very much. Yes, that was the major thing. I mean, he didn't, I don't think he ever abused it. No, not at all. He didn't go off, I don't ever believe he went off drinking or anything like that. We always kept on saying the voice, but we all talk about it like, you know, if we could actually unscrew it, put it on the mantelpiece and walk out and have a wow of a time, we would do that. But all the time you were thinking, what's going to happen tomorrow when I've talked too much, or I've drunk a little too much, been to a rugby match, all those different things. You always thought about how it was going to work the next day.
You're very strict about what you let your voice do. You've even turned down quite important opportunities when you were younger because you didn't think it would suit your voice.
I always say, I learned from older people, then the real big career, you make it saying no, not saying yes. If you are able to say no when it's time, you are safe. You are safe, independent, fresh, healthy in the instrument. If you have not the courage to say no, like I did once in my life, in Milan with Don Carlos, you pay for it.
Did you pay for it?
I did pay, certainly I did pay. They boo all the night long, not me, but they boo everybody, but say that they boo me if you like. And it was, still now they talk about that, after 4 or 5 years.
You shouldn't have done the part.
No. I was not convinced. I made just to please somebody and off. So you should be able to say no instead to say yes to please somebody. And that is something that people, for example, they say, oh, listen, your fee is £5,000. If you say yes, I give you £10,000. It's difficult to say no. It's very difficult. Because after all, you are a professional singer.
Do you still feel nervous before a first performance of a new opera?
Like the first day. There is nothing that can be done to change this feeling. Let's say, I always say that in the last 10 minutes before the performance, I don't wish to my worst enemy, in case I have one so bad. Because it's really painful.
What is painful?
I begin to cry. I say, what am I doing this profession for? Not now, always. You go back to the first day. And why, and why, and why? And then all suddenly, it comes to you a confidential music. Then is more or less your entrance. And then the animal is calming down to be alert. And now it's my turn.
Se quel guerrier io fossi, se il mio sogno s'avverasse, un esercito di prodi da me guidato, e la vittoria e il plauso diventi tutta.
Do you think that a lot of singers fail because they can't conquer their nerves? They haven't...
Possibly.
You talk about some of them in your books.
Possibly.
Yeah.
And you have to be so calm. I mean, one thing that I never say, but is coming to me now, is that the singer must breathe yoga. There is no doubt. You have to be completely relaxed, even mentally, in the way that when you go out, you are the right machine who is starting like a Ferrari right away, because the composer, especially with the tenor, is always putting an aria at the beginning, so you have really to do that.
Like at Aida, I saw it La Scala with Aida.
Aida is a massacre.
Yes.
A massacre.
Celeste Aida, forma divina, mistico certo, di luce fiore, del mio pensiero, tu sei regina, tu di mia vita sei lo splendore.
When you look ahead at the rest at your career ahead, have you in mind any roles that you would like to sing that you haven't yet sung? New roles?
There is one that I'm going to do at Covent Garden, and is Othello on the stage. To make the entire opera, I will come to Covent Garden, who is the most difficult theater with the most difficult critic. Once more, because I'm a crazy guy.
Esultate, l'orgoglio musulmano s'avvolta in mare.
My most wonderful memory was him singing Othello. When he sang that, it was supreme. I mean, he didn't read any, supposedly didn't read any of the music. He learned it without knowing how to learn the music. He had a prompter there who called up the words to him. He knew it very well, of course, but it was absolutely gorgeous. It was the sound that you always wanted to hear in Othello. It was gorgeous.
So you really take it that, I mean, it's been that he didn't read music. That is true, is it?
They say, but you know, I can't imagine that he couldn't know something about it, the way he would sing. It is somehow, it was, I suppose it was quite nice, someone said, well, he couldn't read music, but maybe he couldn't read it as well as other people. But as far as I was concerned, he was highly musical, beautiful, gorgeous phrasing, everything about him was just superb.
You've avoided Othello for a very long time, so why do you think...
I don't think it's made for my voice. I think I would like to do because it's a colossal piece of music, because it's a challenge. I think I'm a challenger.
Do you think you've become addicted to taking risks?
I think I was born like that. I was born during the war, so I am carrying that.